What's up, everybody? It's your boy AT2. Let me tell you, the Breakfast Club, they don't play about their content. So I'm going to do this as a live video because the reaction that I did, yeah, they didn't like that too much. And immediately the video said ineligible, copyright. So I'm going to do it live for you guys. So this is live. Hello, everybody. Come in the room. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Let's get started. What's up, everybody? So what I'm going to have to do is just play the audio, but as you guys see, this is that old throwback video of an interview that Loni Love did with the rest of the real hosts, but she was the one mainly doing the talking, so I'm just saying Loni Love, where she explains, like, there was something that happened with Tamar previously before she even got fired. Was there trouble in paradise? Because don't forget, Tamar ended up getting fired in 2016. She filed for divorce in 2018, just a few years afterwards. So let's go ahead and get started, you guys. And please hit that like button, all that good stuff.
In season 1 and season 2, we were all different. Okay. We didn't really know each other that much. It was a new show. And as far as I know, I was sitting at a table with a girl named Tamar Braxton. I had just met these ladies and I had just met her. I was excited. Now, you got to understand something about me. I've been doing this for a long time. I had a production deal with a studio that actually said, let's develop a show for women of color. So
you already were tied in.
I was already tied in, but I had no type of tie-in as far as the casting, things like that. Because I want to.
And remember doing that Nene Leakes show, Tamar was saying that they built the show around her. And so because she was going to be busy performing and doing other things, she wanted to then get a panel show. Remember, Tamar said it was her idea, but Loni's saying that she had that production deal.
My own show. That's what I wanted. But the studio said, well, we're trying to do this show about women of color. So why don't you just sit in on the casting? I was like, okay. So I sat in on the casting. These, like, Tamar and the rest of these women were the best. The best. We had some of everybody come to the audition. It was amazing. But they were the best at the end because talk show is hard. Y'all know, the chemistry and everything. Well, we had a different type of show back then. Then season 2 happened and it was getting better. But there's something that had happened. And I don't know what happened, but I can tell you this. Everybody has a different story with Tamar. My story is this. She was getting to the point where I was at her house one day. This is after Dancing with the Stars, all this other kind of stuff. She looked at me. She said, hey, I want to get a new manager. And I was sitting in her kitchen and I was like, well, I don't know about that. And she said, Rushion McDonald. Rushion McDonald is Steve Harvey's ex-manager. So she said,
So she wanted to get Rushion McDonald. And here's a picture of Rushion. Hold on, let me go ahead and pull this picture up with Steve Harvey. So he's the man behind Steve Harvey giving his own talk show. So it seemed that she wanted to take her career to the next level. But remember, Vince was her manager. And Loni's going to explain a little bit further into that.
Rushion, give me his number. I said, okay. Because I think she's a very talented girl. So I said, here, I'm going to give you his number. We were sitting in her, and she knows this story. We were sitting there, and she said, well, what about him? And she pointed out, saying to Vince, because Vince wasn't there. Vince was out the room. And I said, that's your husband. I don't know. Talk to him or whatever. Tell him you want to code something. But I believed in her talent so much that if she asked me for something, we are sisters.
Right.
So right there, she requested or she asked for Rushion McDonald's number, Steve Harvey's manager, right? So what I'm automatically thinking is she didn't end up I don't know if Tamar ended up calling him or not, but I think she told Vince, like, oh, yeah, Loni was over my house and said, oh, you need new management. You need new management. So the way Tamar probably spun it to Vince was that, oh, yeah, Loni was trying to convince me to drop you rather than, oh, I asked Loni for this man's number. See where I'm going with it, you guys? It's more detail that we're forgetting. And remember, she got a divorce from Vince in 2018. She got fired in 2016. So that was just a couple of years later. And something that I want to point out is, remember when the Braxton Family Values first started? Like, everybody was in love with Tamar. Tamar was a fan favorite. Then she came out with Love and War. And then and she got the show with thereal. And it seemed like her career was on this trajectory all the way up. And then all of a sudden, it seemed like after she got fired from thereal and everything else, it went downhill somewhere, right? Like, she was the favorite Braxton, and it's like, what happened? There's more behind the scenes than Tamar let on. I think she just wants to blame somebody because she can't blame herself.
When she was sick, we all went to the hospital to see her.
Sure did.
Even when her sisters wasn't around, we were around for her. So when the incident happened, when she got fired, I didn't know about it because I went on the Wendy Williams show that Friday. Why would I go on a Wendy Williams show if I knew one of my castmates was going to get fired that next Monday? I got a call on Saturday. They said that Tamar was being let go. I asked the question. We all got on a text and we were like, what is going on?
What is going on?
Yeah. We was like, what?
Oh, we were calling her,
We called her. She's not picking up the phone, nothing, right?
Right.
Now, remember, the first person, she stopped communicating with us. The first person, she never said, she put out an Instagram that said she had been backstabbed. And the first person she unfollowed was me, okay? So people assume that
you
I was
back
the one.
something to do with it.
Right.
And then I know Tamar because she's a good person. She probably saw all the heat that I was getting. Then she unfollowed Jeannie. Then after a couple of days, she unfollowed these two. These two were still trying to, get in contact with her because they went to Logan's birthday party. They went to Logan's birthday party to talk to her. And you can Google all of this because they were like, oh, Tamara and Adrian has a play date while these two, because we were getting hammered.
Yeah.
So,
and I was in Singapore and I actually was still talking to her.
Now, don't forget, it's funny the way that she unfollowed them, because if you remember back to the Nene Leakes interview, she said that she's cool with Tamara, she's cool with Adrian. She would love to talk to Jeannie, but she hasn't. And Loni, she still don't mess with. She called her Big Back Cadillac, right? Which I admit, I did giggle when she said Big Back Cadillac. But again, Tamar has been said she looked like a Muppet. They said her plastic surgery, she lined her skin. They talked about her edges in that baby hair that she had in the front. They've been dragging her looks. And they even talked about Vince and they talked about her child, which I'm not going to say anything about that because that's wrong. So here we go.
And Vince at the time.
But she's totally stopped. This is the thing. Then when all of that happened, I get on a plane to go to Atlanta. Who's in front? This is how God works. Who's in front of me first class? Her sister Tawanda. Her sister Tawanda said, Loni, I am so sorry this is happening to you. We know you didn't have nothing to do with it. She said, but I'm going to tell you something. They just did an emergency filming of the Braxton Family Values, and you need to see the episode. I said, what are you talking about? She said, you just need to see the episode.
And Tawanda is the one that doesn't like Tamar, right? Tawanda is the sister. I haven't seen the show in a long time, and I haven't seen the remake or the new version of the Braxton Family Values. But Tawanda is the one that doesn't like Tamar, right?
I was like, what? Well, I had a person that worked at WeTV. When you're a good person, people will come for you. The person that worked at WeTV contacted me and said, look, we saw the rough cut of the Braxton Family Values. You are being named, the girls are being named, and Vince is doing the naming. Wow. So I called my attorney. I didn't tell these girls this. This is the first time they're hearing this. I sat here and I called my attorney. I said, you got to call WeTV and let them know that if they're naming us, we're going to have legal action.
Definitely.
Because we had nothing to do with this defamation of character.
100%.
So when you look at that WeTV, they turned around and they did an extra cut. But if you Google, you can see that there was a blogger that actually saw the rough cut, and it says Vince names us, saying that we jealous. He names me specifically, and you know.
So again, Vince was the one who named them. Remember, she said that Vince was the one who named them. So what's interesting about this is that, again, this was going to come out. Loni had no idea until Tawanda said something. She knew someone from WeTV that had the rough cut of it. Now, the funny part is, remember, Tamar was all like, oh, I don't want to say too much about the real, and because I've made amends with WeTV and we rebuild our relationship, because now she has part ownership, or she's an executive producer on the new Braxton Family Values. So she didn't want to say too much, but this makes a lot of sense. Somebody undercut Tamar and gave Loni, or told Loni, about the rough cut of the actual footage. They play dirty in these Hollywood streets, right?
Know why I say he does that? Because I gave her the number of Rashawn McDonald.
Look how that story just.
So you may not have gotten her
I was
fired.
wondering what
You may not have gotten her fired, but you definitely got to get a divorce.
You know what, Tamar?
That's all you heard.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody clearly didn't like Tamar, though, right?
No.
They only fired you for no reason. Why would she let go? Does anybody know why she let go?
We don't know.
Somebody from the production side.
That's above my pay grade.
Yes,
I can
look,
decide who's on the show.
okay, let me tell y'all something, because we're gonna get this out the open. Okay. Everybody here got a different type of contract. I told y'all I already had a production deal, okay? Because I'm trying to do my own show.
Sometimes she still wants to do her own show.
Someone can hear that and be like, doesn't that make y'all feel some type of way? But it really doesn't.
I've been trying to do my own show since 2003.
Get a t-shirt.
Now, this definitely don't make it Loni look good, as they admitted that it seemed like she always was trying to get her own show. So, yeah.
That's that bitch on Beyonce, okay? Gosh.
I'm trying to explain. These are some good girls. These are some good girls. We were all together with her. She was on 4 networks. We supported her. Nobody was jealous.
Went to Dancing with the Stars.
Everything. We were sitting up there. We would go support her, everything. I just think she's embarrassed. I think she's embarrassed. I think that, she knows the truth. And this is the thing. If you don't like us, if you didn't like us, and you thought we had you fired, why would you want to sit with us when we got all nominated for an Emmy?
She got a point. I honestly do feel like Tamar was embarrassed by the situation. And again, no matter how much backstabbing, could Loni been talking shit? I'm not going to take that away. She possibly could. But does she have enough power to actually get anybody fired? No, she didn't have no authority on the show. Like, she couldn't have did that. If the producers already weren't thinking about firing Tamar, no matter how much Loni complained behind the scenes, she couldn't got that lady fired. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. I'm more or less thinking that it had something to do with Vince, and they felt that Tamar should be paid this and that, and the producers were like, we can do the show without you. Because let's be honest, Tamar was on there for 3 seasons, and the show did continue for a full 8 seasons. So they did 5 seasons without her. Now, we can argue that the show wasn't that great and they needed Tamar, but the show did survive. The reason why it got canceled was because of the expenses with COVID at the time. That's the reason why it got canceled.
See, y'all don't ask the right questions. Y'all don't ask because she goes, we've been accused of, she invented the show and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
That's hurtful.
That was not true.
That's not true.
Well, let's bring Tamar in. She's here.
Come on, Tamar.
That's fine.
I want to have a conversation because
I have no beef.
We need to have a conversation.
So none of y'all have spoke since.
No.
Wow.
But none
No.
of our
We didn't get a
informations have
response.
changed.
No.
Yeah, none of our numbers have changed.
No,
Yeah.
it hasn't changed.
Yeah. And I would find out how she felt about us via Instagram and via Twitter.
Yeah.
That's how I would find
We
out.
heard that y'all was complaining because Vince would be standing behind the scenes with his mouth open all the time.
You
It
know
made-
what?
It made people
You know
uncomfortable.
what?
I'm done.
If that's
You know
not true,
what?
this
Let me
guy's
tell
weird,
you.
man.
Let me
I
tell
hate
you,
him, man.
Vince at the top this is
He was
honest
really
to truth.
invested.
He was invested. He would help us. He was all about, all of us like getting something from the studio. Something happened and he knows what happened. But he's trying to save face, I believe, because he knows that something had happened with him and Tamar, either some deal messed up. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't like they had a meeting. We tiptoed to the office. Let's get it. It wasn't nothing like that. We don't even have that type of power. We ain't even got our names on the front of the reel. Do we look
We've
at
been
the
trying to
reel?
get
Do
that
you ever
for
see our
years.
names on the front? No,
No,
our names
yeah.
ain't on the front of so we ain't got no power.
All right.
Lonnie
well,
want her
there
own
we
show,
go.
y'all.
Cleared
That's
it up.
basically what she's
I
telling
think
y'all.
this is a pilot for that.
Yes.
Well, I had one girl chat question for y'all.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, let's-
So our topic for today is I want to
Okay,
talk
so
about.
they went ahead and stopped talking about Tamar, so I can go ahead and take this down. Again, fair use for those of you who just got here. I did a whole live reaction. The people at the Breakfast Club was all like, it's ineligible for monetization and it's copywritten material. So we gonna take that video down. So that's why I'm doing a live now and I had it covered up. So I want to say this. I do believe that there's a lot more with that Vince situation, as he was Tamar's manager, that we don't know about. They're just not going to wake up and just fire you. And then on top of that, was it Vince who kept her from talking to the girls? If anything, why did she just quit talking to them? She should have still at least been like, hey, y'all know what happened. I can't believe this, blah, blah, blah. And y'all were just cool. Y'all were just cool, and then now all of a sudden, no, I don't know anything, no, like, what happened? What happened? I think a lot of this could have been resolved with a conversation. And mind you, they were still inviting Tamar to come on the show to explain her side of the story. They wanted Tamar to come on so they can just hash it out. And I felt like, if anything, that showed that they had nothing to lose. Tamar was the one who had something to lose. Now, Tamar said that, she ain't gonna give them no clout or anything like that. But I honestly feel like Tamar didn't want to explain what the real, no pun intended, what the real reason was why she got let go. And now she want to hold it against Loni for the rest of her life. And honestly, at this point, Tamar, let it go. Let it go. What are you still angry about? The show is canceled, so you shouldn't be angry about nothing. You got what you wanted. The show is gone. It's canceled. Let me see what some of y'all are saying. What's up, Juice? Tamar is trouble everywhere she goes. A lot of people have said that. Well, it was come out that Vince wasn't the businessman we thought he was. Ding, 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 ding. That damn Vince. I'm telling you. And I didn't even think about Vince. And then when I found this clip, I was like, I got to show you guys. I got to show it to you guys. Also, I wanted to talk about this because remember Tamar said she was a producer on the show? She was not a producer on the show. She had no producer credit. Now, at the time, the girls didn't have any producer credit. I don't know what season they got a producer credit, but if you look, Tamara was a producer before she left the show. Then Loni, Adrian, and Jeannie was a producer, as well as, don't forget, Garcelle had joined the show, and Garcelle has a producer credit as well, too. Tamar, from what I could see, had never had a producer credit. I can look, let me see if Vince had a producer credit. Vince Hubbert, right? Producer for thereal. Vince did have a producer credit. Vince did. Tamar herself did not have a producer credit, but Vince did have a producer credit on thereal. And I want to also bring something else. You know how during the Nene Leakes interview, she brought up Sally Ann. Her and Sally Ann created the show, blah, blah, blah. Sally Ann was an executive producer when the show first started, all the way until 2016. When did Tamar get fired? in 2016. So Tamar, Vince, and Sally Ann, the executive producer, all got fired in 2016. There's something there with the management. It's not with these girls. These girls didn't have enough power to get rid of her like that. And like they said, they supported her having all her extra jobs and working here, doing Dance with the Stars, Family Braxton Values. They were cool with that. So at the end of the day, it was something with Sally Ann, who was the executive producer that got fired, Vince, who was a producer, and Tamar, who was a co-host on the show in 2016. Now, will we ever get the real story? We don't know, because they just gonna blame Loni, right? But let me know what you guys think in the comment section, in the chat. Do you think that it was more of Vince? Because at the end of the day, I said earlier, her career was on this trajectory, and then all of a sudden it went tumbling down. Now knowing that Vince was her manager and he was also a part of the whole reel and everything like that, yeah, it had something to do with real. I mean, with Vince, not Loni. Listen, Loni ain't got no job now. The show canceled. So yeah, let's be honest about that. But anyway, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate y'all. Like I said, I just wanted to bring y'all this video real quick. We'll be back later. Deuces, everybody. We out.